If you're wondering what your favorite tech stocks are going to do Monday morning, then this is the video for you. We have a lot to talk about with the tariff negotiations currently going on this weekend. Easter weekend, a lot has happened. Hope you guys are having a great day with your families, but this video is going to have to take a few minutes out of your family day so we can understand what's going on tomorrow morning, and we have a lot to talk about. Donald Trump has said that tariff negotiations are going to be easy with the EU, and he also says things are going good, very good with China. Now, there's also other things to discuss in the current situation and landscape of these tariffs and everything else going on in the market, and that is China is looking to interfere by making some possible deal with EU. However, this is unlikely because of the fact that they have been engaging in dumping in the European Union for quite some time. If you don't know what dumping is, it's when a country exports its goods to another country and is able to sell them cheaper than domestic products in that country. And the EU is not happy about this either. This is not a good thing for China because it is going to create a little bit of an issue when trying to work out some sort of deal. And because of the size and the consumer spending and consumer draw of the United States, if the EU and China were to come to some sort of trade deal, it is highly unlikely that they would be able to thrive, and surviving would also have its extreme risks. This is very big leverage and power in the hands of Trump, which is why he is going to be able to get these negotiations done for tariff and trade deals. We also have the looming issue of Jerome Powell, who has not cut interest rates or even announced any sort of plan to do so. In fact, he wants to sit around and just continue to wait, let time pass, and this is angering Trump, who is urging him to cut rates and is even threatening to have him removed. Now, can a sitting president remove a federal chairman of the FOMC? Well, no, not unless there's some sort of neglect or malicious intent, and that is unlikely to be the case in this situation, although we could say there is some form of neglect and inefficiency right now. However, because of this, the Board of Governors lasts 14 years for each member. There's 12 members, and the FOMC chairman can be re-elected a second time. This is Jerome Powell's second time being elected, and he's going to be finishing his second term in May of 2026. So if Trump was to roll the Humphreys back, meaning less time on the Board of Governors and less time at the FOMC, it really wouldn't matter how much he rolled it back because Jerome Powell is in his last year. So hypothetically, if he was to roll it back at any degree, that would pretty much remove Jerome Powell. Now, this would create a little bit of turmoil in the markets because Warsh is actually more hawkish than Jerome Powell, and this is not a good thing. I feel there's a high probability that the market will do very well Monday morning and going through the week as the EU is in talks with the United States, and so is Japan. Also, Italy's prime minister visited Donald Trump as well. This is 3 in a row, and apparently China is talking with Donald Trump as well, and this, as Trump says, is going very well. So this is a good thing for the markets, not to mention this was a holiday weekend, and people tend to pull money out of stocks or sell stocks off in order to fund vacations, go out with family. A lot of people do this, and then when returning from vacation on Sunday going into Monday morning, anyone who pulled money out usually puts money back in or goes back to trading. There's a lot of that, and that's something that typically happens a lot of the time. And not only that, we also have all this good news that's happened over the weekend that tariff talks with multiple countries is in the works. So there's a very good chance that the futures could gap up. So if the futures gap up at 8 p.m. tonight and the overmarket stocks look like they are following suit, this could illustrate a pretty decent bullish run in the morning on Monday, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. There could also be more news that comes out today that could change everything. And we never know in this ever-evolving landscape that we're currently currently in. Before we dive into technical analysis on the charts, this is very important. Mastering technical analysis fundamentals and understanding price action and overall understanding a company and how to evaluate companies and their moves in the news is very important. It's something I teach my students consistently, and that's part of what leads to their success rate. There's many things that go into it, but if you're having trouble in the market and you want to make profits like my students and consistent, safe, passive income and growth, maybe you're just getting started, maybe you're looking to retire, or maybe you don't even know where to begin at all. I'm driven every single day to help people just like you achieve your financial goals and dreams. Guys can sign up at any time at investwithcorey.com. Links in the information box below. Just click on training and you'll be able to book a call with my team and I so that I can get started helping you grow your portfolio and achieve your goals. I look forward to seeing you very soon. One stock that we really want to look at is NVIDIA. It's in a complete downtrend. It broke above this downtrend very briefly, but now it's back below. And this is due to the AI diffusion rule, which gives the United States unprecedented control over all AI and quantum computing that is exported to other countries. It's also blocking the export to China, and this is an issue. And with Taiwan Semiconductor manufacturing in Arizona and working directly with NVIDIA, they will be able to utilize this as leverage to get around some of these rules, so to speak. So you can see the real big price target here would be 75, 80, 85, 90, and 95. Basically every $5 there's some support and resistance, but anywhere in between here is a solid buy. So pretty much 80, right around 80, all the way up to around 90. This $10 range right here, this is where you really want to try to get your puts. Try to sell some put options down here, but I have a feeling that this week is going to be very bullish, especially if tariff talks and negotiations go well. We could see NVIDIA breaking out of this downtrend and heading back up to likely the 120, 125 range, but it could go a little bit higher. Microsoft has had its own issues besides tariffs. It also has an issue where Blue Whale has backed out and is now heavily invested in NVIDIA and sold its entire stake in Microsoft, which caused some sell-off here. And the price is currently at $368, but Microsoft has a buy rating and a price of $425 to $450. So as we can see here, there's a lot of movement on Microsoft between 320 and 350 and a lot of support between 360 and 385, which is where Microsoft is now. It could dip back down in the 340, 350 range, but it is looking very strong. And if tariff talks and deals go well, well, then the stock is likely to come back up. We can see it broke the downtrend and it's bouncing off of this line at support. My line actually needed to be corrected right there. There we go. And if I correct that line right there where it should be, you can see it's pretty accurate that there's a big bounce here. So Microsoft is looking like it is going to run this week. And I have a feeling this is going to be a bullish week because there was a lot of dark pool data showing that options expiring on April 17th were bearish. April 25th was kind of mixed, and May 2nd, May 9th, and May 16th was very bullish on a lot of options in the dark pool data. So it's looking like things could possibly be turning around, especially if we get good negotiations and more good news on tariffs. Same thing with Google. We are looking at a downtrend that is trying to break, and we can see that that moment, it's got to fix my lines a little bit. That moment is right about there. It broke right below. If it can come back up and break above, then it shows that it's trying to break out yet again, but it has fallen below this line right here. And I think, again, like all stocks are pretty much mostly doing the same thing in waiting on negotiations with tariffs, but Google also has a lawsuit with the European Union, which is not good. And this is also antitrust. So same issues or similar issues to Meta. And this is not good for Google. However, we could also see a very big run with Google if tariff negotiations go well and they win this lawsuit. Also, the CEO for Google has sold some shares, 32,000 worth of shares. This isn't good, and it's right ahead of the antitrust case. So I guess there might be some fear here that the stock goes down, more manipulation at its finest. And that could have a lot to do with all the selling in here along with the tariffs. But Google has a buy rating of like $185, and some analysts and others have 200 plus. So Google is still the quantum computing king, great AI stock, YouTube ad revenue, Google AdSense, Google Maps. Google is a very big company, very heavily involved in AI and quantum computing. And I feel that long-term holding Google is still really good, regardless of what's currently going on in the market. Meta is getting beat up quite a bit, and this is really due to the lawsuit that Mark Zuckerberg is involved in, and the FTC denied the $1 billion settlement offer. So Meta's probably going to need to offer even more, but because of that $1 billion offer, it shows that Meta is very confident that they can win this case because they're not willing to offer any more. We also have earnings coming up on Meta. In my opinion, 500 is a very good price to get Meta. So anywhere between 480 and 500 is a great buy on Meta. And we can see that Meta is actually coming down off of this downtrend, which I should have right about there. And just like this, it actually broke back down below the downtrend. So Meta is having some trouble as well. But again, tariff talks and negotiations could turn this around very quickly. Looking at Tesla, we can see pretty much the same thing. I have a line here that I drew down here. It broke above, came back down and resisted, came up, found some support, came across and has come back down, is bouncing off this downtrend. So Tesla is working its way out of the downtrend and consolidating. There is some exemptions with Tesla, so it's not affected by tariffs as much. And as we can see here, earnings is coming up in 2 days on April 22nd. If they crush earnings and the future guidance is also equally strong, Tesla has a very strong chance on Wednesday of running up pretty nicely, especially once again, if tariff talks are good. Technical analysis, like I'm showing you right now, is very strong and very powerful at gauging companies and movements of stocks. I teach my students this in Discord all the time. Price action technical analysis really helps guide you on moves and when to get in and out of stocks and make good, consistent premiums and profits every single week, every single month, every single year. If you would like to grow your portfolio, maybe you're just getting started, maybe you're having rough times in the market, not knowing where to begin, I would love to help you. It's what drives me every single day. You guys can sign up for my Discord training course, one-on-one coaching, weekly coaching calls, and everything I have to offer in Discord. You guys can sign up at any time at investorcorey.com. Links in the information box below. When you go to the website, click on training, and you'll be able to book a call with my team and I so I can get started helping you achieve your financial goals. I look forward to seeing you in the Discord very soon. Looking at SPY, pretty much the same thing here. We've had a nice downtrend here. It just continues. SPY broke above and it's continued, broke down, and then back above the downtrend again. So we've got a nice breakout above the downtrend. It looks like the consolidation has begun and there is strength here. And this is a really good price. And because ETFs like SPY are always rebalanced, even if companies inside the ETF aren't doing so well, like Apple, which is taking a beating due to the tariffs, it is highly likely that SPY will run this week if there's any negotiations on tariffs, especially China, as this would help Apple, and it's the biggest holding in the SPY, which means the SPY would run. This is actually a really good time to consider selling put options on SPY. It could dip a little lower again back into the 510 or even 505 or even 500, but it's unlikely if there's tariff negotiations of any sort this week. And we also have to consider that long-term SPY is bullish no matter what anyway. So long-term, you would be safe. So SOFI has a big downtrend here, just like every other stock, but it broke above this past week. And so the consolidation is continuing and it's breaking out above this downtrend. Now, I did put out a trade alert in my Discord to sell puts on SOFI, and a lot of my students are already up on that trade. And it was because of the confluence of the stock And when I looked at the stock on Thursday, I realized it was at a point where it was likely to break the downtrend. So Thursday, I put out a trade alert. The stock ran up. All my students are up 30% roughly, some 40% on these put options, and they're going to be up even more tomorrow morning when the market opens, especially if the stock runs up any more than it already has, which is likely if the futures gap up and if news later on today and tonight and into tomorrow is good and we get any tariff updates that are good, highly likely to push this stock way up. So the stock market and SOFI would just come right up and these put options would expire pretty much worthless. SOFI is a really good buy at $10 or $11. I really would not hesitate to sell $10 or $10.50 put options on SOFI. And we can see pretty much all the stocks are consolidating left to right, waiting on tariff news, which is likely to have a lot of updates this week and a lot of volatility. But what we really want to do is watch the VIX. And because it is flirting with crossing below the $30 range, as we can see right here, it already has 29.66. If it can break 28.80 and start falling, or even 28.26, once it gets below 28, this shows us that the volatility is dying off, and this is a very good thing. When the VIX is going down, stock market is usually going up. We have durable goods on Thursday and existing home sales on Friday, so we have some data this week, so we have to keep that in mind. Typically when this happens, Wednesday there's going to be some selling, and Thursday morning there'll be some selling as well, but tariff news would pretty much take precedence over that and would definitely overpower that data. Even if that data was bad, it really does highly depend and rely on tariff updates and negotiations. What it all really comes down to is tariff news and updates. If we get some sort of update on China or any confirmation that China is making a deal with the United States, that will send the stock market to the moon. So there is a high probability that this could come at any moment, but with all the turmoil with Jerome Powell and Donald Trump, this could throw a wrench into even tariff talks. So everything is very touch and go and very sensitive, but ultimately I have a feeling that this week is going to be volatile, but has high probability to gap up tonight into tomorrow morning, and there could be a really good move coming this week. So brace yourselves for some very good opportunities, because even if the stock market doesn't run this week and we don't get enough updates on tariffs or negotiations, and it looks like we drag out another week, long term, these prices on these good stocks is a really perfect entry point. Even if you have to hold for a year or two, there's still money to be made. And because the current prices, SOFI, Meta, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, Walmart, all of these stocks are at good prices right now, so you can still add them to your portfolio even while we're waiting for news and updates and a good run in the stock market. Remember, patient people taking money from impatient people. Now is the time to be buying and dollar cost averaging. You just have to make sure you're not over 10% in your portfolio, and we have to be safe though, because there is still volatility in the market. But I would say this is becoming the time to buy, quite simply because tariff negotiations look like they are about to begin, and because of the issues with the EU and China, it is highly, and I mean highly likely, we're going to get deals with China and other countries very quickly and a lot sooner than later. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I appreciate you. I will see you on the next video or upload. Be sure to check out investorcorey.com, links in the information box below, to get started with my training and my Discord one-on-one coaching. I look forward to seeing you soon. Check out that video. It's just for you. See you, fam.